Welcome to the first ever Star Wars 20. We'll be talking all things Star Wars in 20 minutes. My name is Dave. I am one of the four hosts. Some of the stuff we'll be talking about is the Rebels finale. We'll also be talking about Rey's, one of the theories about Rey that I have, an Ahsoka novel that's coming out that will be part of canon. And we'll also be anticipating the release of the movies on VHS. Welcome to the first Star Wars 20.
Awakens is released today, ladies and gentlemen. You can go out, you can buy it. It's going to be exciting. I don't know where you're going to buy it. Whether you're going to get Target for the extra features that you can download, or Best Buy with the 10, or what did Walmart have? Walmart has something.
I think Walmart just had the cheapest price.
Walmart has a cheap price, so that's pretty good. I got mine on iTunes, so I got to see it last night. What are you going to get yours on, Dave?
I might get mine on VHS. I'm still waiting for the news on that.
He's the old fogey over there.
Yes.
We're going to hold our breath on that one.
Yes. I remember when there was no Star Wars. I was born in the early 70s.
I want you to report straight back as soon as that comes out.
The VHS, yes. I'm looking
You're going to get the letterbox version?
Yeah, of course we're going to get the letterbox.
I'm just making sure. So, today, big day in the Star Wars universe because it's released today, and because today is the first ever, you guessed it, Star Wars 20. Which we're going to give you all the news in the world of Star Wars in 20 minutes. It's going to be fantastic. What he said. So, in honor of this, the digital release came out last Thursday at 10 o'clock. I was expecting it on Friday. I was laying in bed minding my own business, and I got the bring on my phone that said I could watch The Force Awakens right then, Thursday night. I was completely excited. So we had our normal party on Friday night. Thursday night, I dissected all the special features. It was fantastic. And so I want you guys to share pictures of the parties that you guys are having. I know you guys are having parties all weekend to celebrate The Force Awakens, the first brand new Star Wars movie to come out on Blu-ray in
9-10 years.
I don't know. It took them forever to put the original ones on Blu-ray, didn't it?
Yeah.
So at least 10 months. At least 10, just to stay on the safe side this year. Yeah.
And I don't know if you guys knew, but the WonderCon convention was this weekend in Anaheim, California. They do it every year. Oh no, this was in Los Angeles this year. They moved it. I forgot about that.
This year.
And me and Sonia went, and Star Wars had a very large presence.
As always.
Yes, it was very awesome.
Great convention.
Yeah, Ashley Eckstein was there talking about her clothing line, her universe. And we got some nice little goodies there over there, some exclusives. Turn it around. There we go. It's it's beauty vinyl disc. It's limited edition. We got 1262 out of 1500. It's gonna go on our wall. It's awesome.
That is
And it actually works. It does actually
It's a
play.
playable vinyl.
March of the Resistance and Rey's theme. So very excited about
It's just
it.
gonna stay in this case.
Gonna stay in this case
forever.
Like most things.
Where are you going to hang it? You guys have like a Star Wars room?
We don't
toilet?
we don't have our own house yet. But when we do, we'll frame it and put it on the wall.
I like it.
We'll have our nerd room.
Yeah, well, if you're looking at
thing.
putting it in somebody else's house, mine's available.
Okay. In the studio, right over there.
And if you guys need a record player, I have one right next to my VHS.
Actually, we have a record player.
Really?
Believe it or not,
Records
and a
came
VHS
Yes,
player,
vinyl,
believe
yes.
it or not.
So
You have a VHS
I do.
still?
We had to dig through when we went through all of them trying to get one to work.
I want to
and
say
try
we
it
have
over.
like 300 VHSs still too.
wow. Be kind, rewind.
There you
Remember
go.
that?
You guys
So,
know, like, Best Buy went out of business years ago, right?
Circuit City went out of business years
Best Buy
ago,
is
right?
pretty
Best
much
Buy is
has.
still.
You guys are hanging on to some stuff.
Yeah.
It might make a resurgence, though. The records made a resurgence.
Oh yeah,
Mm-hmm.
there's some music gets released on vinyl first before it gets available for digital download.
The new remastered versions of the original Star Wars came out on vinyl
Yes, they did.
not too long ago. That's right.
So in other news this week, there's actually going to be an Ahsoka novel. This is going to be coming out. There's going to be a link that we're going to have below at comicbook.com. The novel is actually going to be written by E.K. Johnston, who also wrote the story of Owen's series. And so, what do you all think about a novel? And actually, since it's Disney's going to be releasing this, it will be considered canon. So the Ahsoka novel will be considered as part of the Star Wars canon. What do y'all think?
Sounds cool. I'm a big book reader, so this sounds something right up my alley that I love to read.
I love the fact that it's coming out right before Rogue One, so there's gotta be some tie-ins, some Easter eggs.
That's what I was thinking, right?
Gotta be some awesome stuff.
It seemed like right before The Force Awakens, they did that book series, right? Leading up to The Force Awakens. And they actually said that, like, Journey to The Force Awakens.
Yeah.
Do you remember
Yes.
that?
Yeah.
Yeah, and this coming out on October 11th seems just really...
I think it's about the time they're doing
Into
some
time.
of the comic books too being released around there too, so it's gonna be
That's
lots
right, the Rogue
Yeah.
One comics
Yeah,
that they're
lots of-
coming out with.
nice little Easter eggs. It's gonna be awesome. It's gonna come out October 11th, 2016.
That's going to be incredible.
And there was an actual an official release that stated, finally, her story will begin to be told. Following her experiences with the Jedi Order and the devastation of Order 66, Ahsoka isn't sure she can be part of a larger whole ever again. But her desire to fight the evils of the Empire and protect those who need it will lead her right to Bail Organa and the Rebel Alliance.
So that leads us right into episode 4, right?
Yes.
That's extremely exciting. I'm beyond excited for that.
It's gonna be.
She's become one of my new favorite characters in the new Star Wars universe in the last 5-6 years or so.
Agreed. I like that she just has white lightsabers. Like the original lightsaber actually looked in 1977.
Mm-hmm.
It was white.
Yeah, it was.
I think that's cool.
When I saw it in the theater, yes, it was just like a little tinge of blue, a little tinge of red. But nowadays, it's like just the technology is just incredible. Yeah, actually, in episode 7, you can notice that there's actually light coming off of the saber and actually glowing on the characters actually wielding the saber. They weren't actually they hadn't done that in the previous trilogies.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Up next, we have Ashley's interview where she talks about her character Ashoka. Notes directly from George Lucas in The Shroud of Darkness, where Ashoka talks with Anakin, and little details into Ashoka's fighting style and how she is able to battle evenly with Darth Vader, which is pretty cool. If you saw the episode.
Nice. If there's anybody I think involved in Star Wars that I love as much as their character, it's Ashley Eckstein.
Yeah,
She's
she
incredible.
makes the character.
And she does the whole line, right?
Uh-huh. Her universe, yeah.
Yeah.
Ahsoka.
So cool. That's
Yeah.
just beyond cool. So I want to take this moment to tell you guys that you have to subscribe. You want to see us
Subscribe.
ever again, which I know you do, because of this guy right here. This gorgeous
And his
mug.
big forehead.
Yes. Which
We only have
one
one light source in here, and it's just bouncing off my forehead.
So make sure you click and subscribe so that you can see Dave's forehead. And if you like what you see, give us a thumbs up. Absolutely.
And so when I saw episode 7, I saw it at a 7:30 showing. I noticed that when Rey was eating right outside the AT-AT, she actually threw on the helmet that a lot of people say is oversized. And I saw on the side there's letters in Arabic that for some reason I just saw it and it stuck out. And the 3 like symbols or letters.
Okay, wait,
one
so
was like
Arabic? Remind us again what Arabic is for those of us
Arabic
who don't know.
is some of the I guess the lettering that's seen in the Star Wars universe. They're just symbols and they represent sounds like our, I guess you could say, regular alphabet does. And so, but there's 3 symbols on the side. One of them looked like a 7, and I remember, like I said, I saw it in the theater. One of them looked like a 7. The other one looked like a reverse 3. And the third symbol looked like a capital E without the vertical line. I just remembered that, went home after seeing the movie twice the first night, and it turns out in Arabic, those 3 symbols, that 7, that funky reverse 3, and that capital E without that vertical line, roughly translates into Rey. R-H-E-A. So it could be pronounced that way. So I have a theory. You can challenge me on it. I'm perfectly fine with it. But my theory is that either Rey does not know who she is, and she just saw the letters, the Arabic letters on the side of the helmet, and adapted that name, or she actually is Rey, and she actually might even, I'm going to expand on my theory as well, she might actually be the pilot that General Organa sends to Jakku, because in the opening crawl, it says that General Organa sent her best pilot down to Jakku, and a few minutes later you see Poe Dameron. So a lot of people may be thinking, oh well, the best pilot is Poe Dameron. Another reason why I say that, and again, my theory could be wrong, when Finn and Rey are running away and they're being chased by TIE fighters, they need to get to that quad jumper. And so the quad jumper, and Finn says, well, we need a pilot. And she says, we've got one, and she's talking about herself. And so, again, that's just an expanded theory.
I like the theory that she adapted the name, like Finn adapted his name to Finn. I don't know about the best pilot in the galaxy, though. He might be smoking some all over there.
I could be smoking some, but also remember in the second trailer that was released, you see the land speeder that she has, that popsicle stick kind of thing, running across, and you see the Star Destroyer in the background, but in the foreground you see a destroyed X-wing. So
I think that maybe that's how she named herself, right?
Yeah.
So she's
look
read the helmet and was like, Ray. Oh, I'll be Ray, because she obviously doesn't know her last name that she's sharing, other than, she's highly secretive too, or whatever she told BB-8 on Jakku. Yeah. Right?
She's part of the conspiracy. She's just like JJ and all. They're not telling us nothing.
Nothing.
So, speaking of conspiracies, we've made it through Rebels Season 2 finale. I know we were talking about the trailer. If you haven't seen it yet, which I can't fathom, it came out a week ago, but if you haven't seen it yet, make sure you skip ahead to the next segment. So, assuming you've seen it, I've got to start with just one word, and just fire off what you guys are thinking. Maul.
Goosebumps. Look at goosebumps.
It's very warm in here, and he's got goosebumps.
Maul came back. It gave me goosebumps then, it's giving me goosebumps now. I'm just excited to see Maul.
Maul is awesome, right?
Yes.
Is it just me, or, he's the only bad guy in the Star Wars universe that can breathe.
And so, I like the fact that it wasn't like just brought back just to, I guess, bring up the ratings or just for jumping the shark was the phrase I was looking for. He's actually very well written into the story and the way he manipulated Ezra.
That's a Jaws reference, right?
I'm sorry?
It's a Jaws reference.
Jaws?
Jaws. Jump the shark.
Jump the Shark, that was a Happy Days reference. Fonzie.
Thought we were good friends there for a second.
Sorry. I have it on VHS. I'll bring it by next week to show you what I'm talking about.
And I don't know if I could play it, Dave.
It's all right. We'll figure it out.
We got this.
Hold up in the light.
We have a bunch of wires back there. I'm sure we can.
Film script.
That's hilarious.
So,
Getting distracted here. Back
yes. Sorry. Yes.
I love Maul's teaching. I wanted to be a Sith dark side, just the way he was teaching, breaking the change, using your emotions. I loved all that. It's just.
So, Sonia, if you could be taught in the ways of the Sith by any Jedi, who would it be?
Trick question.
I know.
You're going to be taught by Jedi.
Oh, nice. That's what I meant to say.
Yes.
I was like,
it would be Maul, right? He's totally cool.
He's
all right, I'm just making sure.
I'm totally
I
dark side anyway, so.
Yeah, me too. Me too. All right, so moving on. Speaking of light and the fact that he can't see it anymore, Kanan?
Yes, unfortunately, he could be blind.
Did he go blind?
Or just maybe singe his eyebrows. But it was,
he needs eyebrows like mine. His vision.
Get really bushy and he just goes like this.
Yeah.
But
it was kind of cool though, because it reminded me of the way that we saw Luke be trained on the Millennium Falcon when, with the blast shield down. I can't see it.
He can survive without his eyes.
Right? So I think that's the first thing. And then we saw the Padawans in the prequels at some point with the blast shield down, training and all that kind of stuff. So I thought that was pretty cool. All right, so Ahsoka's fate, she dead or alive, Dave?
I think she's alive but gravely injured.
Ooh, maybe some biomechanical stuff going on? That could
or
be cool.
Perhaps she just needs to go into hiding and recover. So
I think it's going to be something. She's going to be hiding out in the ruins of a Sith temple. So I think something's going to go on in her head, or she could maybe embrace the dark side.
Dave, if it wasn't so hot in here, I'd have chills. You're Dave. Yes. John?
Yeah.
Sorry, Dave.
No worries.
It's okay.
So actually, you should be apologizing to John for calling him Dave. He should feel more offended by that.
I'm sorry, John. I'll never do it again.
I'll get over it.
Dave, John,
yes,
Alan, Sonia.
Just don't do that to me.
Star Wars fans. Yeah. Okay, so Ahsoka's fate. Wait, okay. I want to back this up for a second because you guys backed it up.
Yep.
You said so at the end.
We rewounded at the end. Just let's just double check and see what we see in this cloud, and it looks like she's walking downstairs into a corridor.
Into like a temple.
Yeah, so it's her silhouette, definitely. Or
right after we wrap this up, I'm gonna go check it out myself. So, John, Ezra, Light side or dark? Is he going to go over to the dark side? There it is again! I can't believe it. He's going dark, isn't he? Is he going dark?
He's going to play with dark side. He's going to experience it, and it's going to be the main. I'm guessing the main story in season 3. Ezra battling. He's becoming a teenager.
Maul
he's
said something like that, though, right? To know your enemy, you have to know your enemy, and you have to practice.
There. Yes.
Yeah.
So you guys are thinking that Ahsoka and Ezra might both be practicing with the dark side?
Well, I never said Ahsoka. He did.
Oh, you don't think Ahsoka?
No.
I think Ahsoka.
I don't think Ahsoka.
It's not going to come back. So
I think she's going to be one of those fabled gray Jedi.
Yeah.
So
There you go.
that they don't want to be
That sounds
restricted, and they're actually going to be going after the dark side and not be limited by
That fits
Jedi
with her
order.
attire these days, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Especially with their sabers now. Sabers represent that gray Jedi.
Yeah. But Ezra, I think for sure.
There's a crazy
That
theory
would be
out there
cool.
that I heard. It's supposedly, I don't believe this one, but a crazy theory that Ezra is actually Snoke, Supreme Leader Snoke. And so I read that somewhere, and it was a little wacky, so I thought I'd share it.
I love it. Thank you for sharing.
I do like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
I'm still on the
No.
Snoke is plagiarist
No.
bandwagon. That's my official statement.
I think these characters are all. I don't think that Lucasfilm would take anything from TV and put it in the movies. I do think that things that were in the movies would go to TV.
That has happened, but
Yeah.
but
it is.
I don't know.
Rebels started off just like Clone Wars as a kids type show, and it's become more than a kids show. It's becoming fandom. So
It's true. And it is getting darker too.
yes,
Yes.
Just like the end of Clone Wars did. It got dark towards the
yeah.
end.
That's when it started getting good.
So
So
It's become very, very well written. It's just not a kid's show. It's actually very, very well written. I've had friends that are not big fans of the Star Wars universe, and they catch an episode, and they're just kind of like, not too bad. And I think it's because of the writing.
no, it's not a theory, but I can tell you guys who Snoke is right now, and you're going to be surprised when it actually happens at the theater. And just remember that you heard it here first. It's Jar Jar Binks. There's not a question in my mind.
he's
It's gonna
probably
happen.
gonna listen to
It's
this.
gonna happen. Yeah, I'm just letting you know now.
I don't know if you guys have been on social
Totally.
media this week, but have you seen the video Path of the Lightsaber made by Christopher Sherwood? An amazing video following the path of Anakin Skywalker's lightsaber. How it starts with him and goes all the way to Rey.
What is it? Father's lightsaber.
You're a Jedi Knight, aren't you? I saw your laser sword. Only Jedis carry that kind of weapon.
Perhaps I killed a Jedi and took it from him.
I don't think so. No one can kill a Jedi.
Promise me you will train the boy.
Yes, Master.
This weapon is your life.
This is the weapon of a Jedi Knight. An elegant weapon.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Amazing.
Yes,
And
awesome.
and just like the four of us here, Christopher, we want to say, keep up the good work. We like the fanfic. We're
Yeah. We're gonna try and show
obviously
that stuff.
supporters of that here. So yeah.
Yeah, this is awesome.
Yep.
Now we're going to review the Battlefront DLC, the Outer Rim expansion. I don't know if you guys have heard about that, but it just was released for the season pass holders. If you pay $50 for the season pass, is pretty steep, but it comes with more DLCs later on.
Come on, guys, let's move up! The shipment needs an escort to the extraction point.
Incoming fire!
Instead of buying each individual DLC, you buy it all at once, pretty much you're committing, but you get a discount compared to buying it all individually. So there's going to be more DLCs, but this one's very cool. You get to play as Greedo and Nienum. If I pronounce that wrong, I'm sure. Nienum. So, and there's a new mode Extraction, which is very fun as well. So I don't know if you guys have played it, but you can definitely play it. It's awesome.
Nice. Very cool. Well, as always, we want you guys to stay in touch. Feel free to comment below, and we'll find out the answer to that question and leave that below. Thanks for supporting our first show. You can do that by subscribing. You can do that by giving us a thumbs up. Make sure that you follow us at Star Wars_20 and like us on Facebook at facebook.com/Star Wars 20.
I want pictures of you with actually your thumbs up out.
That's right. Yeah, thumbs up,
Thumbs up.
pictures, thumbs up. Make sure you share pictures on either Twitter or Facebook of your Star Wars party. We want to see all of Star Wars fandom celebrating around the world. This is our chance to do it. And we will see you guys next week.
Join us next week for Force Friday details and rumors of Han Solo and Rogue One and the Blu-ray recap, and may the Force be with you.